Dear Chosen One, listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you was hidden from you for far too long. The spiritual war that came against you was never just about attacking your life. It was launched to erase your divine contract, to tear out the pages of the sacred story God wrote for you before you even came into this world. And what's worse, this war was designed to do it so quietly, so subtly, that you wouldn't even notice it happening. The enemy wanted you to believe you were simply making normal choices, when, in truth, you were being pulled into a false narrative, a script that was never yours. And this is why you must not look away now. The moment you do, the forces working against you gain another chance to rewrite what was meant to be sacred, untouchable, eternal. Every relationship that drained you, every opportunity that seemed golden but left your soul empty, every battle that felt like it broke your spirit, none of it was random. It was part of a plan to replace your divine blueprint with a counterfeit one that keeps you tied to cycles that were never meant for you. But stay with me, because before this video ends, I will help you see what was stolen, how the enemy tried to rewrite your destiny, and what you must do now to reclaim your true story. I'll share with you a truth that has been hidden in plain sight, waiting for your soul to awaken. And if you feel this message stirring something deep inside you, let me know in the comments. Write, "I reclaim my divine contract." Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss what was meant to reach your spirit. Let's begin this journey together. Chosen One, your divine contract is not some distant, symbolic idea. It is a sacred map, carefully written by God, before you even took your first breath in this world. This contract holds the purest intentions for your life, your mission, your gifts, your encounters, your legacy. It is the sacred script of what your soul came here to fulfill, a blueprint that no force of darkness was ever supposed to touch. But the enemy, seeing the power that would awaken if you followed that map, launched a silent war, not to destroy your body, but to erase the pages of that holy plan. That's why so many times you felt lost, like your steps led you away from yourself. What the enemy does is subtle. He doesn't come waving a sword. He comes weaving lies, embedding confusion, and creating situations that lure you into contracts you were never meant to sign. These false agreements come disguised as blessings, relationships that seem sent by God, opportunities that appear golden, choices that feel right at first, but slowly drain your soul. And with each step into these traps, the divine map starts to blur in your heart. This is the silent strategy, to have you rewrite your own destiny without even realizing it. The most dangerous part of this spiritual war, Chosen One, is how these counterfeit contracts seem so normal. They look like love, they look like success, they look like purpose, but they keep you bound to cycles of emptiness, confusion, and exhaustion. The enemy doesn't need to chain you physically if he can make you live out a story that was never yours. And so, with every wrong path disguised as light, the true contract written by God gets buried deeper beneath layers of illusion. And then comes the emptiness. Even when everything seems right on the outside, your soul cries out. There's that unshakable feeling that something is missing, that deep ache that says, "This isn't who I am supposed to be. This isn't the life my soul chose." That emptiness isn't weakness, Chosen One. It's your spirit remembering. It's the voice of your true contract, whispering beneath the noise of the false narrative. And the more you ignore it, the louder it tries to speak, in restlessness, in sleepless nights, in moments of quiet sorrow you can't explain. The spiritual war against you, dear soul, has never been about stealing your possessions or status. It's been about stealing your true story. Imagine someone tearing pages from your sacred book and writing lies in their place. That's what's been happening. Each false relationship, each toxic opportunity, each moment you doubted yourself has been like the enemy scribbling over your divine script. And until now, you didn't see it, because the battle was designed to stay hidden, to look like ordinary life. But today, that veil begins to lift. You must understand, this war is not just about you. It's about everything your true contract was meant to activate. The souls you were meant to touch, the chains you were meant to break, the light you were born to spread. That's why the enemy worked so hard to rewrite your script. Because if your real contract lives, then so does the mission God gave you. And that mission terrifies the darkness. This is bigger than your pain. It's about the ripple effect of your purpose on this world. And now you may be wondering, when did this happen? How did my sacred story get hijacked? That question, chosen one, is the doorway to your freedom. Because the moment you start asking it, you begin to awaken. The spiritual war was counting on you staying asleep, on you never questioning the script you've been living. But now, as you begin to see the pieces, the true battle comes into focus. And stay with me, because soon I'll help you see exactly where it all began and how you can take your story back. The war against your divine contract began long before you could see it, long before you even had words to name what you were feeling. It started in the silence of the womb, where energies of rejection, fear, or unspoken sorrow may have surrounded your first moments. The enemy knew that to rewrite your story, he had to attack the foundation, your very sense of belonging in this world. And so, the battle began in whispers, in the atmosphere you were born into, in the vibrations that touched your tiny spirit, in the unseen forces that tried to break your alignment with God before you even opened your eyes. As you grew, the enemy's strategy became more complex. He used the voices of authority, those you were supposed to trust, to plant seeds of confusion and self-doubt. Words spoken in anger, moments of neglect, unfair comparisons, and subtle rejections worked together like a dark script being written over the truth of who you are. The war was never about their mistakes. It was about breaking your identity enough to make you question the map God placed in your soul. And every time your heart broke under the weight of those moments, the enemy rejoiced, thinking he had erased another piece of your contract. What makes this war so dangerous, dear soul, is that its weapons are often disguised as love, guidance, or care. A parent's harsh word that was meant to toughen you up. A teacher's dismissal that made you question your gifts. A friend's betrayal that taught you not to trust your heart. Each of these moments became like ink stains on your sacred pages, making it harder for you to see what God actually wrote. And while you blamed yourself, wondering why you felt so out of place, the enemy was busy rejoicing at how far he'd taken you from your original story. At some point, without realizing it, you began to accept a narrative that wasn't yours. Maybe it was the path that others expected you to follow. Maybe it was the mask you put on to survive the rejection, the pain, the loneliness. And with every step on that false path, the true contract of your soul was buried a little deeper beneath the rubble of expectations and illusions. The enemy didn't need to destroy you. He only needed you to live a life that wasn't yours, to play a role that kept your true light dim. That is how counterfeit contracts were sealed, in jobs that drained your spirit while pretending to give you purpose, in relationships that chained your heart while wearing the mask of love, in missions that seemed noble but left your soul empty. These were the traps set to ensure you lived out a story that served the darkness, not the divine. And the deeper you went, the harder it became to even remember what freedom felt like. But your soul never forgot. That's why you're here, listening now, because the time has come to awaken. The enemy feeds off that disconnection, off the chaos that comes when you're living out a script God never gave you. Every day you feel lost, confused, or drained. That's not weakness, dear soul. That's the evidence of a war being fought against your true purpose. And the more you stay entangled in the false, the more the enemy tries to convince you that this is just life, that there's no higher story waiting for you. But the truth is, there is, and it's calling you now, louder than ever. You may not even know when the rewriting of your story began, but that question stirring in your spirit right now is the first step toward reclaiming what's yours. The enemy counted on your silence, on your blindness to what's been happening. But the very fact that you're awakening to this war means the tide is turning. Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will help you see the hidden patterns, the moments the enemy struck, and most importantly, how to take your divine contract back and live the story that was always yours. Your divine contract was never truly destroyed, only hidden beneath layers of pain, falsehoods, and choices that weren't truly yours. Deep within your spirit, the memory of that contract has been waiting for this moment, for your soul to awaken and begin to remember. And this memory doesn't come in loud declarations. It comes in the quiet moments when something doesn't feel right, when a job that should fulfill you leaves you empty, when a relationship that should bring joy leaves your heart aching in silence. These are the signs that your soul remembers a different story, the real one God wrote for you. Sometimes these memories of your true contract surface in dreams, in déjà vu moments, or in those sudden bursts of clarity when you feel, for just a second, who you really are beneath it all. You may have felt this when you stood in the stillness of nature, when you looked at the stars, or when a song touched something ancient inside you. These glimpses are not accidents, dear soul. They are the voice of God, reminding you that no matter how much the enemy tried, the contract he wrote for you can never be erased, only covered, waiting for you to uncover it again. And this is the turning point of your journey. The enemy's greatest fear is that you'll recognize the truth, that the contract God wrote for you still exists, intact, waiting for you to reclaim it. The darkness thought that by burying it under false narratives and counterfeit contracts, you would forget. But you didn't. The ache in your soul, the restlessness in your heart, those have been your spirit's way of fighting back, of refusing to live out a lie. And now, the time has come to choose. Will you continue to walk the false path, or will you return to what was always yours? You must know this. The moment you choose to reclaim your divine contract, the spiritual war enters a new phase. The enemy will do everything to distract you, to lure you back into old patterns, to whisper that you're too late or too broken. But none of that is true. God's contract over your life is timeless. It cannot expire. It cannot be voided by the lies of darkness. And as you begin to remember and reclaim it, you will feel a strength rising within you, because you are stepping back into alignment with what was always meant to be. If you ignore this call, if you choose to stay in the false contracts, the war doesn't stop. It just continues silently, robbing you of peace, joy, and the impact your true story was meant to have. But if you choose now, if you decide today that you want the life God wrote for you, the chains start to fall. The illusions start to crumble. The counterfeit contracts lose their hold. This is your moment, chosen one. This is why your soul brought you here, to this message, at this time. Your first act of reclaiming is internal. Before you can break free in the physical world, you must say no in the spirit. You must look at every false narrative, every counterfeit contract, and refuse it. You must declare, "This is not my story. This is not my truth. I return to what God wrote for me." And as you do, heaven begins to respond. The spiritual world takes notice. The enemy begins to lose ground, because once you choose the truth, the lie can no longer hold you. Prayer, alignment, and daily communion with God, These are your tools now. As you seek Him, as you ask Him to reveal your true contract, as you commit to walk in it, the false will begin to fall away. The confusion will start to clear. The empty paths will close, and the way forward will open, one step at a time. Stay with me, dear soul, because before this message ends, I will guide you in how to declare and walk in this truth, so that no force of darkness can ever rewrite your story again. Your true contract is not just about you. It was written to ignite light in others, to break chains, to open doors for souls still trapped in darkness. That's why the enemy fought so hard to bury it, because your obedience to that divine script doesn't just change your life, it changes lives around you. Every act of courage you take to step back into your real story releases a ripple of freedom that reaches farther than you can see. That is the power of living aligned with what God wrote for you. And that is the power the darkness tried to silence. Until now. The enemy's attacks were never random. They were designed with one goal: to stop you from activating your mission. The relationships that drained you, the opportunities that broke your spirit, the betrayals that made you close your heart, all of it was calculated to keep you out of position. Because a chosen one in position is unstoppable. A chosen one aligned with their true contract shines too brightly for darkness to hide. And the enemy feared that light, feared what would happen the day you realized who you really are. And here is how you can begin to discern the truth. The real contract brings peace. Even in challenge, even in sacrifice, it fills you with a sense of rightness, of inner alignment, of divine flow. The false contracts, on the other hand, bring confusion, exhaustion, and a subtle but constant feeling of being out of place. That's why, no matter how hard you tried to force certain paths, they never felt quite right. Your soul was not made for those stories. Your spirit resisted them because it was written for something higher, something holy. There is a part of the ego that, out of fear, clings to these false contracts. It tells you they are safer, more comfortable, or easier to explain to the world. The ego would rather stay in the known pain than risk stepping into the unknown truth. But that truth, the one God wrote, is where your real strength lives. It's where your peace waits, and it's where your true identity shines. To reclaim your contract, you must be willing to let go of the illusions that once kept you safe, but now keep you stuck. Choosing your true contract will not always be easy. It will ask you to walk away from what drains you, to say no to what no longer fits, to trust God in ways you never have before. But what waits on the other side of that choice is a life that finally feels like home, a life where you no longer have to pretend, where your soul can breathe again, where your steps align with the rhythm of heaven, and no false contract, no lie of the enemy can offer you that peace. Every small act of truth is a step back toward your divine contract. Every time you choose honesty over fear, love over control, faith over doubt, you are writing your true story again, with God's hand guiding yours. This journey doesn't happen all at once. It unfolds one choice, one prayer, one act of courage at a time. And as you walk, the light grows stronger, and the lies lose their power. That is the promise of the God who never let go of your story. And I need you to know this now. Your contract was never lost. It was never destroyed. It was hidden, waiting, protected by grace, until your soul was ready to see it again. And that moment, this moment, is now. You are not too late. You are not too broken. What God wrote still stands, and no force of darkness can erase what was written by His hand. All that is left is for you to choose it, to claim it, and to begin living it out loud. It begins now, chosen one. In this very moment, as you open your heart to reclaim what was always yours, heaven leans closer. The divine contract that was written for you before the foundations of this world is waiting to be declared alive again. And it starts with your words, your will, your decision to say, I choose the truth. I choose the story God wrote for me. Say it out loud, say it in prayer, say it in the silence of your heart, and watch as the chains of the counterfeit contracts begin to fall. What was hidden begins to surface. What was lost begins to return. And what was written begins to shine through the fog. Your new chapter begins the moment you say yes. And no matter what came before, no matter the mistakes, the detours, the pain, it all gets rewritten by grace the instant you step back into alignment. The pages of your life that felt empty will begin to fill with meaning. The moments that felt wasted will be redeemed. And the story that God wrote for you will start to unfold in ways that will leave you in awe. This is your homecoming, chosen one. This is the return of your true self, the restoration of your sacred path. But this is not a one-time choice. It is a daily commitment to stay aligned, to remain vigilant, to protect the contract that cost so much to preserve. Each day, you will be tempted to slip back into the false narratives. But each day, you will have the strength to say no, because now you know, now you see, now you remember. And with that memory comes power, peace, and the unshakable knowledge that no force of darkness can rewrite what God has written in light. No one can rewrite your story when you walk with God. No lie, no betrayal, no failure has the power to void the contract sealed by the divine. You are free to live the life that was always yours. Declare it now in the comments. My true contract is alive. Let this be your public statement of faith. And if this message touched your spirit, I invite you to like this video, subscribe, and activate the bell so you never miss what was meant to reach your soul. Every time you engage, you help this light reach others who are still searching for their way back. I want to take a moment to thank all of you who support this mission through Buy Me a Coffee. Your generosity keeps this work alive, allowing us to create messages that bring clarity, healing, and strength to chosen ones around the world. If you feel called to support, the link is in the first pinned comment. And know that your support is deeply appreciated. I encourage you now, watch the next video that's appearing on your screen or dive into the playlist. Let this be the beginning of your journey back to the story God wrote for you. And always remember this. This is your time. Step into the light of your true story. And may you never again forget who you were always meant to be.